I haven't got a slideshow as such, so you'll probably be happy with that. Just a background slide there. What I really want to do today is just give you an update on some of the training courses and certifications that we're doing. Most of you are already aware of the certifications, especially the we call it our CESA course. It's a commercial catering equipment electrical competency course. But CESA for short, and I think that name is starting to get around the industry now. We've got a few people remembering it. Our CESA course we launched around about 15 months ago. We built it in conjunction with CEDA and CESA, with guidance from them, and also City and Guilds. It is City and Guilds accredited, and I'm happy to tell you that in the last 15 months we've actually certificated over 300 engineers. Okay, or should I say technicians, sorry. So it's doing really well. The course is developing as we are delivering it, and also with the introduction of 18th edition wiring regulations, we're making small upgrades and changes to the course to sit in line with legislation. The course, though, is very much based around real life scenarios. So what our engineers are faced with from a risk level in a commercial kitchen. So slightly different to a lot of other electrical qualifications, trainings. We do obviously cover the general fundamentals of electricity, and that's a requirement from City and Guilds. But we talk about the real situations, what it's like to go into a commercial kitchen and be working actually on electrics in that kitchen. And it's one of the most dangerous places to be. So I have a real mixed bag of technicians coming on the training course. And this is because of the companies that are sending them on the course are actually really seeing the benefits of just refreshers, because I've even got situations where I've got qualified electricians coming on the course. But the company has seen it as, well, this is an example to go on the course and just get a refresher. And they'll often say to me, they'll say, I don't know why I'm here because I'm a qualified electrician. And the answer I'll give them is, well, I'm a qualified electrician and I did my apprenticeship over 30 years ago. But when I was developing this course with CEDA and CESA and City and Guilds, it really opened my eyes to the way I work. And I realised that in a lot of cases I'd become complacent and I'd started taking little chances and risks. And because I'd never had an incident as such, I was getting away with it. And it's only when you really sit back and think about the tasks and the jobs that we do, you realise how dangerous some of them can be. Now, if we refer during the training a lot to the Electricity at Work Act 1989 and obviously BS 7671, the wiring regs. But there's a lot of conditions there. If we look at the Electricity at Work Act, there's regulations in there that say that it actually says we should never work on live electrics. But then it goes on to say in some instances there is no other way of carrying out a task other than live testing. So we talk about that. And we talk about the restrictions and guidance given to us by that regulation. And it says actually that if you are going to do testing on live electrics, you must have at least a metre of space. Now, for those of you who are engineers or your previous background as engineers and you've worked in a live kitchen, to know that you've got a metre of space on a piece of equipment you're working on is almost impossible. So the way we have to look at it with the guys is we have to tell them that they have to evaluate the risks and they have to have a risk assessment for everything they're doing. Okay, risk assessment, method statements, something very important to all of us now. But I say to every guy, when he walks into a kitchen and he's looking at the tasks that he's got to do, he's got to evaluate the job and he's got to have a good plan of what he's going to do. Don't just go in there like a bull in a china shop and start ripping panels off and things. You've got to really think about it. The other thing we encourage is, as much as possible, to work with the equipment dead, of course. I emphasise the equipment being dead and not the engineer. We have to, the course develops information on dead testing, on safe isolation, lock-off is all part of the course. And there is a practical assessment that we do for City and Guilds, which is based around safe isolation, lock-off and dead test. So that's part of the course, as well as the City and Guilds written test paper, which the technicians have to complete. So that's our CSET course. It's doing really well. We're getting great feedback from leaders of companies as well that are sending their technicians onto the course. It really helps them to know that their engineers or technicians are going into kitchen environments and working safely. It's also given a lot of emphasis on not just what they're doing and their own safety, but obviously the people around them as well. So it takes into consideration the whole environment. The other thing that we've introduced since the last conference here, so an update on, is our some of our gas qualifications. So with regards to ACS, we're doing a lot more gas renewals, re-accreditations. As you're probably aware, the industry denotes that we need to have, as a gas engineer, you need to be re-accredited every 5 years. We have the only ACS centre in the UK that is dedicated to commercial catering, and it's really starting to pay benefits now within our industry. We have a lot of service companies within the industry now that are signing up all their gas engineers to us, in the sense that we're managing their renewals and managing the programs to renew their gas engineers assessments. And the difference by coming to us for your reassessment is we have a centre which is dedicated to commercial catering, so they're only going to be carrying out tasks that they should be doing, unlike a lot of centres that are predominantly domestic, where they have you doing all sorts of different things. And also we carry out a maximum of 2-to-1 assessment. So rather than going to a centre where you might have 10 guys being assessed and one assessor, and you're hanging around waiting as an engineer to get onto the next task, we don't have that problem, and we get the situation where we can get the guys in and out the door as quick as possible. So typically now we have, if an engineer's coming to us to be reassessed on his triple CM1, Comcat 135 and LPG, typically we'd have him out the door and back on the road within 2 days. What I hear from the industry, and knowing from my own experience and previous assessments, other centres you're normally looking at 5 days. Okay, so that's a great benefit for you as company heads. Keep the engineers on the road. The other thing, we're getting great feedback from the technicians that are coming into us. Obviously, it's a stressful time for all gas engineers when they've got to do their reassessment, and we all panic about it. But they're actually coming into us and they're going out the door, and some of them are even saying that they enjoyed doing it, let alone it was a less stressful environment. So we're getting great feedback from that. The other thing that's a big change in the gas industry is last year IGEM introduced the new managed learning programme, which came out the 1st of October last year. So all centres, all accrediting bodies and ACS centres have had to adopt a new way of introduction for new gas engineers into our industry. They are doing away with the changeovers from domestic to commercial catering, or commercial and so on. We're still in the period of transition, so there are still some of the old changeovers that are still available, but most accrediting bodies and centres now have adopted what's called a new managed learning programmes. So we started running it from January this year. And the big win for us and our industry is there is now a direct route into commercial catering. So previously most engineers would have done maybe some domestic qualifications and then a changeover. Now they can go direct, be trained on catering equipment and assessed purely on catering equipment. So as I say, we started that in January. We've got about 8 guys running on the programme so far. One guy that started in February is due to finish his portfolio and his course. We should have him signed off by the end of November. So it's running quite well. There's no set limit for it. It's a guided programme, and it depends on prior experience and knowledge as well, so every candidate is slightly different. It can be done within 3 months. There is a situation where you have to, the technician would have to have centre training that normally ranges between 20 and 25 days in total, so 4 to 5 weeks. And what we've done to make it easier for the industry is we've broken it into modules. So they have to initially come into us for 5 days. Then we have any other modules that they need to do broken down into 2 or 3 day modules. And we run every module every quarter. So if they want to work at it, they can come in and do the 4 to 5 weeks training within 3 months. But also alongside that, the technician needs to build a portfolio of tasks on site. And it's fairly minimal that now. They have to demonstrate a minimum of 5 installations and a minimum of 5 maintenance and repairs. And they have to do that alongside a gas safe registered engineer. Also, we have a situation with this new direct into catering programme where we have some companies that come to us and say, well, we don't do installations, our engineers only do repairs, so how are we going to build that installation part of the portfolio? So what the accrediting bodies have said is, well, actually, either the installation side or the maintenance and repair side can be simulated in the training environment. So we can actually cover some of those sections in the training centre as well. So typically, although it can be done in 3 months because of the portfolio side, we would recommend to companies that a candidate going through a managed learning programme would take around about 12 months would be the ideal time, because that gives them time to get some experience and learn knowledge on equipment. The other things we're doing at Combico, obviously, is we're very close association with several manufacturers, and we're continuing to do manufacturers training for key manufacturers and supporting other industry standards there. Things that are happening in the future, well, we've talked about quite a few situations today with regards to apprenticeship programs that CEDA and CESA are working on, and that's something that we're getting involved with in quite a big way at Combico, and hopefully we'll be assisting with those moving forward. So, is there any other questions before I finish? I'm here obviously for the rest of the day with you guys, so if you do want any information, any leaflets, I've got information on everything out there, and please feel free to contact me anytime if you have any questions.